Welcome to another exciting week of the Fantasy Football Dojo here at the Ninja Legion Studios. I'm Mike Kraus.
I'm Mark Krause.
I'm Kirk Williams.
And we're here to depress you,
Yep.
even more than you've already been depressed by last week's fantasy results. We're going to talk about the games. We're going to talk about all the players that are hurt, which is everybody on earth.
Yep, every week.
And we're going to lament the 0-2 hole our Baltimore Orioles are in. But that's okay, because it's a 7-game series. We got plenty left to play.
I can say if we all sound a bit hoarse, forgive us.
Yeah.
It's from being up really late and yelling at
We're all
baseball.
screaming our focuses off at the TV as our team loses in extra innings or the 9th inning every game.
Yeah.
All right, moving on from that.
Yeah, let's not talk about that anymore.
Because it's just going to make us sad, and we don't want to see us crying because it's not pretty.
I guess we'll just jump right into the games if you guys want.
That's what we have to do.
We're gonna have to trudge on here. A lot of players are hurt. We're gonna talk about the big ones. We're gonna be getting inactives here in a couple of minutes from the league, but we pretty much know what's going on with most of these teams. We'll start off with our Ravens here, which were actually unified in jerseys here this week.
First
Yeah.
time.
We're all hitting the Ravens today.
Got the Maryland hat.
They're in Tampa, lovely Tampa, where they won a Super Bowl a million years ago.
Sorry, gents. I have to interrupt you for one.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Kirk, sorry about your luck last week.
Oh.
Wow.
He just
Wow.
called him out.
Wow, the Overlord makes a guest appearance to give his opponent.
For those of you who don't
Trash
know what
talk.
he's talking about, I gave our fearless leader his first win of the season last week.
I like how he phrased that like he gifted it to him.
Yeah.
No, I personally did because let's face it, by any means, Tony shouldn't win a single game. Period. Considering that every single player probably averaged, well, let's see, you start what, 10 guys, 11 guys? We
I think it's
what,
11.
Yeah.
11.
I'm pretty sure it's 11.
He only put up 129 points and he won in
Yeah.
a PPR league. I only put up a whopping 117 because my dumbass started Pierre Garçon against Seattle. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Well,
that
if you would
was
have
a rough
started
choice.
Deshaun Jackson, it would have worked out for you.
No, the thing is, though, I had Golden Tate on my bench. I had
Oh.
Russell Wilson on my bench. And I also had San Diego's defense on my bench and played
Oh.
Cincinnati's instead.
Oh,
Ouch.
Yeah.
you could have pitched a shutout.
Oh, I could have easily crushed
a
him.
rare occurrence in
So-
fantasy football.
Oh, and I benched Gronk as well.
Why?
Oh, you are.
Because Heath Miller against the Jaguars, I figured would actually have a monster game.
Oh, that's still ballsy, though.
Wow, you really overthought
Now you know
yourself on
never
that
bench
one.
Gronk.
Yeah.
No matter
Never
the
bench
matchup.
Gronk.
And that was just an early birthday present for
For the
Yeah.
Fearless
For the
League, yes.
Chief.
Happy
Yeah,
happy
give the Chief
birthday,
a happy
fearless
birthday.
leader.
Ass.
All right, back to the Ravens in Tampa. We thought that Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans might not play this game, but apparently they're going to.
So
we're going to
far,
find out for sure.
the
but-
Mike Evans one seems a little less likely, but they still said he's I guess questionable, but leaning on the side of probable. So
They're
we're
saying-
going to
they're
find
saying
out.
He probably will play, but this should be a game with some scoring in it. I like the Ravens players. Tampa hasn't defended anybody so well this
No,
year.
they're 30th in defense overall ranking and 30th in offense overall ranking.
That's solid.
It's at least they're
really
consistent.
amazing.
But the thing is, though, their 1-4 record doesn't
No,
it doesn't reflect how good this team is.
it
I mean-
could be.
Honestly, how good this team is. They
No.
3 of their losses have come in the final minutes of a game and by less than 7 points.
Yeah,
Now,
I don't
granted,
know.
they're against
I'm not
teams that
buying in.
aren't the greatest,
yeah.
but I mean, we did know that Mark's favorite Atlanta kind of put one of the greatest ass whoopings
Well,
we've ever seen.
That was indoors, where the Atlanta Falcons are a completely different team.
Yeah, I don't
so.
indoors, outdoors, on a boat. It doesn't matter.
That could have been on the moon.
You lose 56-14.
Yeah, you're outclassed.
Yeah.
But no, you start none of the running backs on,
Yeah,
on Tampa Bay. I say
You can't count on Doug Martin or
No.
Bobby Rainey at this point,
It-
especially
it-
since the Ravens play good run defense.
if Vincent Jackson plays, you definitely start Vincent Jackson.
You got to. He's on a heater. He
Yeah.
had a great game last week.
And then even again, Mike Evans plays, and you need a flex, and you're whether it's a bye week situation or injuries. Mike Evans is just a really good talent, and honestly, he's bigger than the corners for the Ravens.
I'm
So
not crazy about Evans only because the Ravens tend to do okay against number 2 receivers. They don't
Yeah.
cover number 1 receivers all that well, but I mean, hey, if you need somebody, you need somebody.
on the
But
Ravens side, though, Steve Smith, absolutely, he's playing against an old division rival.
I'm sure Steve Smith will find a way to be angry about Tampa.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how, but stick
fine.
with Steve Smith, even though he
He could be angry about
assassinated-
chocolate chip pancakes.
He assassinated everybody's fantasy scores last week with a bad game, but you can't be great every game. So
No, and that was the case of the Colts stepping up their defense is a little better
Yeah,
than
the
people
Colts
think
defense
theirs.
played way out of
Yeah.
control from what they usually do.
So-
Even on Thursday night, they didn't play.
I still
great.
say go with Steve Smith. You
Steve
definitely.
Smith's a definite
I like
starter.
just. All right. So here's the thing: running back roulette. Who do you like? I like Forsett.
You got to go with Forsett
Yeah.
at this point.
His results have proven
If
it.
you're going to
so
play
far.
any Baltimore running back, you play Forsett, and I think you probably play him more likely than you wouldn't because Tampa doesn't have any defense.
Right.
To put it in perspective, in Yahoo Sports fantasy leagues, 70,000 teams dropped Taliaferro. 70,000 teams.
Yeah.
So you can see who's getting the bulk of the carries.
Right.
And granted, he's probably going to make us bite us in the ass and have 3 goal line carries for 3 touchdowns. So he'll have 9 yards and 3 TDs today.
I'll take that.
I mean, as a Ravens fan, I'd love it.
No,
but-
I'll take that in fantasy.
No, but the thing is, you're probably not going to play him.
You're not going to play him, though. That's the thing.
That's the problem.
The other Ravens player of note is Owen Daniels. Jimmy Graham's out this week on a bye, and he's going to be injured for another couple of weeks. You got Travis Kelce, who's on bye. I like Owen Daniels a lot this week.
Absolutely.
I've had to start Owen Daniels because I had Pitta, and he in PPR leagues he puts up solid average points.
Yeah.
I mean, he had the game with the 2 touchdowns, which was great. But
I just think there's going to be a lot more opportunities. If the Ravens are going to score more touchdowns than normal, which they probably will in this game, then I think Daniels is a beneficiary of it.
do we think Torrey Smith wakes up a little bit, or you
No.
think he's still sleeping?
I think this is one of these games where Torrey can have an average game despite them playing well. He hasn't had that many catches per game. He doesn't get as many targets as Smith does.
He's not the number one they thought
I
that
don't-
everybody thought he'd be, as far as fantasy's concerned.
Unless you're desperate,
Yeah.
I don't like Torrey Smith this week.
All right, he's a weak wide receiver 3 for me. A really weak
Yeah, he's
one.
boom or bust.
Next up's going to be Jacksonville at Tennessee.
Ew.
Getting this one out of the way early because it is disgusting.
But let me get my puns out because I've been working on these all week.
All right.
All right.
I think I know where you're going on this. Go for it.
Yes, a storm is a brewing,
A storm is a brewing.
but could it be a quiet storm? I'm referring to Storm Johnson.
Storm Johnson.
who's
folks.
getting his first career start today.
Storm Johnson's going to start today. He is the hot, smart guy pick for everybody who's either going to look really great or really horrible after this. You could officially dump Toby Gerhardt, by the way, if anybody's curious.
Like in an actual dumpster.
yeah, you could like
Like you could put him in the trash.
That's just mean.
Well, I'm just saying.
He's done nothing.
He's
for them.
bad.
He's averaging 2.6 yards a carry. He's been hurt constantly. Storm Johnson's your guy for an offense that doesn't really move the ball at all. But if you need a starting running back, why not?
Yeah.
Jamal Charles and the 85 New Orleans running backs are going to be on bye. So if you need somebody, Storm Johnson's a real reach, but he is playing a team that
At least you're putting in a starter.
at least you're putting in a starter, a guy that's
That's-
going to get carries. Denard Robinson's not the answer for them. So Tennessee gives up 137 yards rushing a game, and most of that, if not all of it's going to go to Storm Johnson, a guy who I had never heard of until this.
Otherwise, don't start any other Jacksonville
No.
players like usual. Now, on the other side of the ball, has Sean Green officially collapsed yet? Is Sankey the starter, or is it still up in the air?
They're not saying. From everything I've read, they don't even know. They're both going to get carries, but it's against Jacksonville. So if you're thinking about starting Bishop Sankey, if you're one of these guys that drafted him and you're just like, oh, Bishop Sankey, then this is probably the week that you're probably going to get some
And
points out of him.
Locker, at least for this millisecond, is healthy.
Yes.
Okay, so
Right now he's healthy, but I can't put any.
And that's the thing, Kendall
value
Wright,
in that.
because of quarterback roulette and just, them not being that good of a team, didn't do anything till last week, and then
Oh, he
laughed
killed
in
us
all of
last
our
week.
faces.
Yeah,
but I don't think you can
Mike
play
and Kirk
him.
and I spent all last Sunday texting about how all of our predictions were
Right.
dead wrong. So
We do that a lot,
Yeah,
actually.
well, that's kind of our thing.
It's our MO
But
right
that's
now,
okay.
actually.
Kendall Wright. I don't know. What do you guys think about Kendall Wright?
See, the problem is the matchup against Jacksonville seems so good, but I don't know. I still think he's a wide receiver 3 with a lot of upside. I don't think he's any higher than that.
I would agree with that.
And it's sad because, to say that about a guy who put up 27 points in PPR format last week, but
Yeah, but even so, he didn't catch that many balls.
No.
He had 2 touchdowns and 40 yards.
and they're
something
still
like
looking
that.
for Justin Hunter deep. Justin Hunter had some nice plays last week too. And don't forget about Delaney Walker still.
I was going to say, that was
he's still a main target for Locker, so
and Jacksonville is still the 3rd worst defense against tight ends in fantasy
Yeah.
football and all of football.
Yeah, no, Delaney Walker's a start
Yeah.
for sure.
Guaranteed.
So all right, well that about sums up that
Well, I have
steaming
one question,
pile
though.
of trash. Yeah.
He's come on in the last few games is the rookie Allen Robinson for Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, granted, if you need a receiver for again wide receiver 3, maybe.
he's
but
definitely something that's going to be available. Like if
I
you're
would-
if you're struggling,
if you got room in your bench, I'd pick him up and stash him because who knows, by the end of the season they might actually
I still
do something.
think right. I still think Bortles will actually start playing like a professional quarterback at some point. I think he has the ability. They're just their team in general is just so bad.
Is it going to matter how he plays? I
Well,
mean,
the
what's his ceiling? A couple touchdowns and 250 yards?
I'm not saying to start Bortles. I'm saying as far as for Robinson's potential.
You get stuck in a bad bye week,
Yeah.
something like that. It's a nice little piece to have stashed on
So
the bench.
yeah, it's a real deep sleep.
Next up, we got Denver at New York Jets. Denver's my suicide pick of the week.
Oh, good luck with that.
I hate taking teams on the road.
Yeah, that's...
But let's be honest, the Jets are a mess. Denver defends the run better than the pass. And Geno Smith. Because Geno Smith.
Again, I said it last week, and it came true. When do we see Mike Vick? We saw him last week. Do we see him second quarter?
I don't think Mike Vick cares whether you see Mike Vick, so it doesn't really
No,
matter.
I'm saying just for the world. It's a fun thing to ask. When do we see him in the game?
I don't think you're going to see him start a game. If he didn't start this week, he's not going to start. That was a train wreck last week.
It really was.
And Vic came in, but even still, Rex Ryan's going to go down with the ship. He's going to go down with the SS Geno.
Right. This isn't.
So-
There's no, unless there's a league where you have fantasy coaching, which God bless you if you do. I don't see how Rex Ryan still has a job. Just side note. I can't.
He's fallen in the same trap Brian Billick fell into with Kyle Bowler.
He fell in love with the quarterback.
He's got his golden arm in there.
Yeah.
Who is turning out to be nothing but just tarnished bronze. It's
Fool's gold.
Yeah, seriously.
And them there hills.
It's going to be the end of his coaching career. His head coaching career.
Good. He can go hang out with his brother.
His brother's got some hella good hair.
He
He
does.
does have great hair. Wolfman.
So,
Wolfman.
Jets don't start no one.
No.
I mean, Chris Ivory's the only guy you can even think about.
I still
and
wouldn't.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
No, I would put Ivory down into like the 25th to 30th ranked running back of the week.
For people who unfortunately drafted Decker, what's his injury status? Since you got
Decker is.
Hold on, let me get a quarter.
that.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't know. Let me see.
Because I mean, I know there's gonna be some people that unfortunately are considering starting him.
Decker is
I
apparently
I know.
active because I don't see him on the
Yeah,
inactive list.
so-
Active doesn't mean he's
Yeah.
healthy though.
No.
He's active, but he could end up pulling his groin at any minute. Yeah, so to speak. I don't like Decker just because I don't think that their DBs are going to get beat by a guy like Decker. I think their DBs have seen Decker for the past 3
Yeah.
years, and they know what to do.
I also
against
feel like
him.
there's going to be constant pressure on Geno Smith.
Yes,
like
they're
just
going to go right
unrelenting
after Geno.
pressure.
Von Miller's going to be in Geno
Which-
Smith's pants for the entire game.
Denver defense. Someone I guess dropped him during the bye week or something. I don't know,
love
but I
Denver's
picked him up and
defense.
I was like, yes, I'm starting them today.
I love Denver's defense. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, this is one of these games where Denver's on the road. Who knows what's going to happen? But man, if you're not confident that Denver's going to beat the Jets, I don't know what else you can say.
So we haven't really seen. We're starting the obvious on Denver. You're starting Orange Julius, you're starting Demarius, and you're starting Peyton. But the other two
starting
guys that
Emmanuel
everyone.
Sanders.
Well, I was going to say Emmanuel Sanders. You still start because they can't cover
have to.
everyone. But then the other guy, no one's seen Welker, like really do anything.
yeah, I don't know that you can start Welker
He's been
at this
quietly
point.
putting up satisfactory games.
Like we're looking like 4 for 40. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Like
mean, it's
He's
pretty-
quiet. He's quiet in our league. He's quietly putting up 9-10 points a game.
yeah, but it's
That's like if you look at last week's game, they threw for 1,000,000 yards, and Welker was not the
Right.
beneficiary of that.
so I
many
think
of
he's
them.
definitely a no start.
I would wait
at
until
this
you
point.
see something from Welker before you start.
Yeah.
And yeah, you might have a game where he goes for 100 and a touchdown, and you're not starting him, but.
But
I'd
one
rather
of the
do
other
that.
guys will also go for 100 and a touchdown. So it's like,
Right.
they're still going to be putting up points.
Monte Ball's injured.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about Monte, but Monte, you're assassinating my fantasy season. I got Monte Ball on like 3 teams.
Yeah.
I was all over him in the preseason. I won't make that mistake again. I won't take the guy that hasn't proven anything that now gets a starting job probably ever again. This is killing me.
So with that turd getting flushed, what about Ronnie Hillman?
I haven't picked up Ronnie Hillman in any of those leagues because Ronnie Hillman's never shown me anything.
So you're trying not to get burned by that
well,
logic
no,
again?
I'm not one of these guys that falls under the philosophy that if a guy's a starter, he's now good. Like he's
Yeah.
still got to be a good player. They still like C.J. Anderson as a member of that backfield. I think it's gonna be a platoon. I think you're gonna see all those running backs in there. Jawan Thompson got a touchdown last week.
Joanna man?
Yes,
Honestly,
Jawan
they're
Thompson.
probably not even going to run on the ball that much anyway. I mean, look for
I wouldn't
Peyton,
think.
So look for Peyton to have 55
Just
passes.
slanging it. I hope
Yeah.
so.
He'll have
The
55
only thing the
attempts.
Jets can do is defend the run. So do I like any of those running backs? No, I don't. I don't like any of them in the future. Ronnie Hillman's never shown anything. Ronnie Hillman was Monte Ball before Monte Ball.
Right.
So he couldn't even hold off No Sean Moreno last year to be the
Well,
starter.
as a quick side note, anytime like a major running back goes down and you have low waiver priority or whatever you want to say, low or high, you have the highest chance of getting a
you
waiver
have
claim.
first.
You have the best
waiver
claim.
priority.
Then if you pick up a guy like that, even if you're not starting him, and you weren't picking up anyone else that week, just pick him up and try to flip him. I was able to get Cordarrelle Patterson in a league for Ronnie Hillman this week. Now, I know Patterson is struggling. That whole team's struggling, but I'm just saying you never know what someone might want if they think that person's going to be good.
That might turn out to be the best trade you can make all year.
I'm just saying, I know that's a reach because, it happens. We know it happens. There's guys that get on a hunch, or they had Monte Ball and don't know any better and think they have to have his backup. So it's like, fortunately, I'm horrible in that league. So I always have the number one waiver priority. Thanks Tony Romo and thanks AJ Green. I appreciate it for my season so far. Oh yeah, and also thanks Cousins. Although last week I didn't start him, but
Cousins is taking so much heat for that Giants game.
He's had
He's
one
not gonna
bad
be
game
horrible.
in 6 career starts.
All
He's
right,
had one bad
you know what?
game.
Let's transition
And
that into this game.
Hold on, can I point out something even more? Cousins with 5 turnovers still put up more points than Nick Foles.
In that week he did.
In that week, it's true.
And he looked decent against Seattle.
And he outthrew Nick Foles when he played Nick Foles. And everybody wants to ride those golden locks to a championship. It ain't happening.
That Giants Redskins game is one of those games where we're going to look at every player in that game at the end of the season and be like, what in the heck was that? Larry Donnell had 3 touchdowns. He had no catches last week. I'd still start Larry Donnell, by the way. We're going to get to that. But if you look at all the players that did anything in that game, positive or negative, Donnell, that's an anomaly. Cousins, that's got to be the worst game he's ever going to play. And he's looked decent so far. I'd still consider Cousins a number 2 quarterback. I wouldn't drop him. I did in one league, but it was because I had like 4 quarterbacks and I had other guys
I was
better.
on vacation, just starting it at the beach, and that game ruined the first half of my vacation. I was so
But I really
pissed
think
off.
that is an anomaly for a lot of those players. The fact that Rashad Jennings, even though he's hurt, had a bad game for him, I think that's just a weird
I got you.
occurrence.
It's just a fluke day.
I don't know. Let's go to Detroit at Minnesota.
Ew.
Your guy Cordarrelle Patterson is one of the hot names in that game. Are we going to see him do anything at this point?
Because the only other time we saw Teddy Bridgewater get a start, Jarius Wright was his meal
his
ticket all
go-to
day.
guy.
So yes, I think Patterson still eventually gets on board, but I mean, you probably don't have a lot of other options because you probably drafted Patterson fairly high for most people. So he's not a bad play today at all. But I still temper the expectations until you see a couple of games straight where he's the go-to for Bridgewater.
There's been a lot of lip service from Norv Turner and the coaching staff that they're going to try and get him the ball. I don't buy it. They've been trying to get him the ball all year. Either they've been they haven't done enough in scheming, or they just haven't seen an ability to do it when the players line up and there's a formation there. But,
I'm gonna go my lay it on the line now.
Oh,
I'm bringing it out.
He's gonna bust it out.
If
No, there's no ifs in lay it on the line.
I'm saying if you have. All right, you know what? I'll throw it out a different way. Teddy Bridgewater's putting up more points than Stafford today.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you have Stafford and Bridgewater's available, you go pick him up and you start Bridgewater.
Well, there it is. There you go.
Because on the other side of the ball, Megatron's out.
And so is Reggie
And
Bush.
probably Reggie Bush.
I just got the-
absolutely
yeah, I just
100%
got
now.
the- both
They're
inactive.
both
Yeah.
inactive.
So
that means
So our fearless producer, Paul, you need to bench Megatron.
I.
I'm going to tell you what to do. You need to move Ruben Randall up into your wide receiver slot. And then flex Greg Jennings. That's all you can do.
A little Ruben in the slot.
That's all you can do. I looked at your team. That's all you can do.
now that's the kind of personalized fantasy advice you can get. You can get
nowhere else.
Well,
Send
you
us
can
a
get it all over the place.
screenshot and we'll send us your login and we'll
Send
make
us
your
a
lineup.
screenshot and we will lose the championship for you.
This is a good time to bring up our Twitter handle at Football Dojo.
Uh-oh.
You send us a question, we'll answer that question.
whether
But,
it's
Jake
right or
Locker
wrong.
is inactive against the Jaguars.
Oh, really? So he sneezed and
God.
pulled a
He
butt
ju-
muscle.
He pulled a Sammy Sosa and sneezed and threw his back out.
That
Yeah.
changes everything. No, it doesn't.
He tripped
Charlie
over.
Whitehurst will start in his place.
Oh, football Jesus.
Football Jesus.
Football Jesus is going to start today. That actually doesn't change anything.
No,
I
not
not
at
about
all.
anything. I don't know about you guys. I still think Bishop Sankey does something. I still don't like Kendall Wright and Justin
Is
Hunter.
does his name turn to Bishop Shanky when he goes to jail eventually? is that what happens?
Oh boy. All right. Anyway, so back to the Lions.
Wow.
I tell you what, I've been burned before. I'm gonna go with Joik Bell as a big play
Joik.
today. Joik Bell does some damage today against a Minnesota team that looked like they were playing bumper cars against Eddie Lacy a couple weeks ago.
I'm going to go with the phonetic sounding and call him against phonetics and call him Wok.
Just walk.
Walk
for-
Bell.
I like Jaquay,
Jaquay's good. All right.
but
So as far as the Lions go, we're going to temper expectations for Stafford, but this is another one of those games where just because Stafford might not have a good game doesn't mean Golden Tate won't. I mean, Tate's the number one receiver. We're going to find out real quick whether Tate can be the number one receiver on a team with a
Right.
good offense or not. So
He
this
had a
is
monster
a
week
pretty
last
good
week.
gauge. But we don't know if Johnson was enough of a decoy for him
Yeah, don't
to
know.
draw attention away. He's going to be the guy that Minnesota's going to focus on. Xavier Rhodes is probably going to cover him. Rhodes is a good but not great corner. Tate's a big guy. He can probably muscle him a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But Golden Tate's value is going to get changed one way or the other this week by having the spotlight be on him.
and a little shout out to one of the hype players in the preseason, a rookie with Eric Ebron. He did get a touchdown last week. I still don't think you start
Ebron's
him.
improving,
but,
you keep an eye on him for
The
sure.
fact that the main target's out means he probably is going to get some more targets there. But Pettigrew's still there meddling. You know, I mean,
this is a league. Like, at least a week, like I said, you're gonna need a tight end in a lot of leagues. So
Yeah.
you know, Ebron's a decent guy.
He's
to look
very
at.
athletic.
He's
I
gonna
mean,
get some.
he can do
looks.
worse.
He's a receiver over a blocker, so yeah, not a bad call there.
yeah.
Asiata versus McKinnon. They're still saying that Asiata's their guy because they don't trust McKinnon to play all the pass protection and all the rest of the stuff. I don't.
Well, that's
think
fine. Then they're going
McKinnon's
to
a
let
starter this
Asiata
year.
come in and block, and then they're going to have McKinnon come in and rip off 40-yard runs.
Oh, you're
So,
saying make Asiata the fullback? That's nice. I like that.
I'm just, if he's
plan.
that good at blocking, then,
But
I
they've already
did-
shown Asiatic he has big game capabilities. He's done it for you. He actually
Only
is one of
from
the
short
reasons you beat
distance.
me.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. I still don't like him.
He's not a game breaker. His
No.
skills aren't that great.
That was more situational that
And
game.
Detroit is one of the great underrated defenses in the league. I mean, Detroit defends the run well. They defend the pass pretty well.
I like Detroit's defense today. If you're in a league, though, that penalizes for like yard totals, which some of them do,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know about that because I think it might go back and forth quite a bit, but there's going to be turnovers.
Nah,
Bridgewater's
you
good,
gotta-
but
you
he's going to
gotta
turn
play-
the ball
You got to
over.
play Detroit's defense.
Yeah, and they're
fantasy
real
defense.
aggressive.
Detroit, by the way, averages giving up 74 rushing yards a game.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't like any of the Vikings running backs. I've benched them in multiple leagues. So
All right, we're moving right along here. We've got the Patriots, the revitalized Patriots, going to the Buffalo Bills.
I could easily see them laying an egg.
I
Def-
can't tell what's
deflation
going on
city.
with New England at this point. Rumors of their demise were greatly exaggerated
Yeah.
because they came out and thumped Cincinnati. But I don't know what's going to happen in this game. This is the most confusing team in the league for me. I don't know what to say.
Well, it's pretty easy to understand for fantasy. You start Gronk.
yeah.
I'm just saying. And Varina's still proven to be nothing more than a mediocre play, which is sad and really hurts my heart. And
Again, it's going to be a coin flip if they get in the red zone and can't get Gronk in the end zone. Look for Varane to get the goal line
But
carry.
you still got Stephen Ridley there.
yeah, Ridley
I
has
mean,
been
it's-
playing well,
it's
and they've been
really
giving him the ball.
confusing
that's
thing.
that's all you can hope for.
Yeah. I mean, the other side of the ball, Fred's got slacks. So Fred Jackson popped up last week in a big way,
Yeah.
like he always does. He's the never-ending
But if you look
fantasy
at New
player.
England's resume here, they've given up big rushing days to a lot of
Yeah,
people.
I-
You could see Spiller and Jackson do
Right.
something today. You'll never hear me endorse C.J. Spiller after last year.
Oh, I know.
But if I was ever going to, this would be the week to do it.
I like both of those guys. If again, you probably have to play Spiller, but if you are in a bad spot with injuries or bye week, Fred Jackson, in most leagues for people that have been playing a while, probably someone has him stashed because they know what he's capable of. But if he's available, it's not a bad play. I like Sammy Watkins a lot.
I was just going to talk
Yeah.
about Sammy Watkins. Here's the tough part about Watkins. He's going to be on Revis Island, and I think Orton's more capable of getting him the ball.
Yeah.
But last week, I think Watkins had 87 yards, but he made a really key play on like their last drive
Yeah.
when they beat Detroit. I think Watkins is a start, but I wouldn't go out there expecting him to have a gigantic game.
So
I have him in a league where you play 3 receivers. He's my 3rd receiver.
yeah, I'm not real. Unfortunately, I have to admit, I'm not up on the defensive scheme of New England.
Well, there really
is
isn't one.
I was
Revis.
gonna say,
Does
do they
Revis
even
just
have
match up
one?
on their number one, or do they keep him in a spot
From
on the side?
from what I heard about all week and even this morning, they haven't declared that he's going to play heads up on Watkins, but they've been playing him man to man against teams' number one receivers.
I mean, I know he did really well against. it was against AJ Green.
Yeah,
Once Revis was out of the game, AJ Green ripped one off. So
and Mike Williams isn't going to play today.
Yeah,
So,
I guess then I take that back. Watkins is still good, but I thought that they basically Revis usually plays a side. I didn't know that they were playing a man on.
I mean, we won't know
man-to-man.
until we see it, but if you're hedging your bets, I'd say it's a good chance that he plays Watkins.
Yeah.
There's nobody else for him to play.
Yeah,
What's he
I
going to do?
know.
Go play Robert Woods? I mean, you're wasting Darrell
True.
Revis if you're not going to put him on Watkins. So we'll take our chances with that, but I think that's the way it's going to go down. Next up is Carolina at Cincinnati.
Gio Bernard all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, because AJ Green's not going to play.
Well, that's one banged up. Excuse me. That's a really banged up Panthers defense too.
Yeah, the Panthers defense for once in at least the past couple years, far back as I can remember, is not good at all on the run defense. They are ranked very low, which is weird. It's just strange to hear that. But Gio should be good. I wouldn't be surprised if the other rookie,
Jeremy Hill.
if Jeremy Hill gets a couple looks, because it's just going to be volume. After last week, they want to come out and just impose their will. They don't want to look like a soft team.
Yeah.
New England made them look real soft and real bad.
The last time AJ Green missed a game, well, he didn't miss the game, but he played 5 snaps against Atlanta. Their running backs had 42 carries.
Right.
And actually, Gio had 32 touches that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gio's a big play. I think Jeremy Hill's probably a flex.
Yeah.
If you need
Excuse
a running back, you can play Jeremy Hill, sure.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, Carolina hasn't shown any ability to defend anything this year. which is really surprising.
I've
but-
been big on Sanu all season,
I
and
was
now
gonna
he
ask,
has a chance
to me, he's the biggest question mark in
Yeah.
this game.
It all depends on. Again, I don't think really Carolina has a number one standout corner that can cover Sanu. I mean, they have Captain Munnerlin, right?
No, Munnerlin's on Minnesota
okay,
now.
my
they
bad.
they
I
don't.
forgot.
You're right. They don't have anybody that is a big physical guy that can keep Sanu in line.
So I think Sanu's in.
So-
I think he's gonna have a good game.
If you're ever going to play Mohamed Sanu, this is the
Not
week
an
to do
AJ
it.
Green, copycat game, but I think he still is going to have a very good game.
No, in the rankings I've seen, a lot of places Sanu is ranked as a starting wide receiver, even in a 2-receiver league.
And on the other side of the ball, whatever mess is happening in the backfield for Carolina, you don't play them.
The only Carolina Panther you want to play is Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, and I got a little excited about him last week. In a couple weeks, I had to start him higher than I would have liked. What do you consider him right now, as far as wide receiver
Wide
1,
receiver,
2?
a high-end wide receiver 2.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And because last week is a good example of why. He got 1 million targets, but they couldn't do a whole lot
Yeah.
because he got people draped all over him, and they're going to draw a lot of coverage to him. I don't think Jericho Cotchery is all that big a deal. Greg Olsen is active, even though he's got an ankle injury, so he could have a decent game and he could draw some
Yeah,
coverage. But
Olsen continues to have good games.
they're gonna throw at Kelvin Benjamin a lot, but against a team like Cincinnati, where they're gonna have pressure in Newton's face and they're gonna have a good corner on him, whether it's Denard or Leon Hall or whoever they've got out there, they're quality corners. So you got to start Kelvin Benjamin because you can't not
Right.
start a guy that's gonna get 10 looks a game. But I don't think he's a wide receiver 1 yet.
Yeah.
Because to be a wide receiver 1, you've got to be a top 10 or 12 receiver in the league, and I don't think he's there yet.
He's got the same situation going on that Jeremy Maclin does. He's
Right.
getting as many looks as anybody in the league, but he's not catching the ball, and he's not doing anything with it when he does.
Macklin's probably, if you had to rank receivers, Macklin's probably a spot or 2 ahead of Benjamin at this point.
I would say,
Yeah.
because
they're-
the offense is way better.
but they're both still not quite a true number one
Right,
wide receiver.
right.
I mean, even though Maclin is just barely behind Julio Jones in targets.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, in all reality, this number 1 versus number 2 thing's a moot point because you're going to start both those guys if you have them. So, it doesn't really matter whether he's a 1 or 2, but you're going to start Kelvin Benjamin if you have him, even against a team like Cincinnati, because he's got a ton of talent, and Newton's still Newton. So, next up is Pittsburgh at Cleveland, which is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time we're seeing a team play another team twice this season right?
already. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Pittsburgh. This is a revisiting of two teams that played completely polar opposite halves. Pittsburgh just threw all over Cleveland for the first half, and then Cleveland came storming back, only to come up short in that game. Checking to see, there was word that Joe Hayden may not play this game, which is going to change a lot of what you probably think about it.
I would like to point out that I'm getting most of my wish, and then Brian Hoyer is playing well enough to keep Manziel
You
off
are.
the field.
I know you called it earlier this season. You're like, I hope. Well, you
Well,
said
I,
you
hope
said.
I hope he throws for 10,000 yards and 200 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's
But-
maybe a little out of reach.
Well,
at
no,
this
that's
point.
just because how much I hate Johnny Manziel.
Yeah. No, Hoyer. He has to do a lot in the second half of every game, apparently.
Yeah.
But
No, Hoyer's a decent start.
Yeah.
I don't think Hoyer's if you need a player, if you got Drew Brees and he's on bye, Hoyer's not a bad
correct me if I'm
pickup.
wrong. Wasn't Hoyer at one point Tom Brady's backup?
Yes.
And
Yep.
today is the day where you start him over Tom Brady without a second thought.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, remember, Brady's listed as questionable for this week.
Well, Brady's question. Whatever. I know that's the
Hey,
point
for the
you're
first
making.
time this week, Gronk, for the first time this year, Gronk's not on the injury report.
Hey,
Even though
nice.
he's been
You
healthy
you
all
better
year.
knock on this table. Yeah, because you just jinxed him harder than anything in the world.
Joe Hayden is playing. He will shadow Antonio Brown, but that hasn't meant anything because Brown's one of
No.
the few receivers that has owned Joe Hayden in his career. So all the Pittsburgh guys, you should play them. I mean,
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. Roethlisberger's not a great start, but he's a decent start if you need him. As far as Cleveland's concerned, Jordan Cameron's going to play, and
Oh,
he's
he's-
apparently
okay.
healthier than he has been.
All
So in a week where tight ends are in trouble, he's not a bad play.
He's not a bad play, but he's still. I wouldn't bet the farm on it. I mean, he still hasn't proved anything this year. And
Yeah.
honestly, besides a few blow-up games last year, he didn't have a great year last
Well,
year.
he's one of these big athletic tight end guys that has a lot of athletic ability. So we'll see what happens. But if you have him, you probably are going to.
What about the handful of receivers they have on Cleveland that are putting up big plays late in games, like
Travis Benjamin?
Travis Benjamin. I mean,
these guys.
again, you're not going out and like highly picking these guys up and being like, oh yeah, he's not my number one guy. But again, we're in a league where they have bonuses for long receptions. Like if I know I'm reaching real deep here, but those guys look to be exciting, and you want to like actually pick one of them and be like, oh, this guy could really do something.
If you're going to pick anybody, it's Benjamin.
You're right.
But in a league where every team has 2 or 3 receivers,
He doesn't fit in anywhere yet.
he's probably. I mean, if you're in a 12 or larger team league, then he's probably on your roster somewhere, on somebody's roster somewhere. But I can't start that.
Barring an injury or two or bye week, you're not.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds weird to say this, but Cleveland's offense is not great, but it's too diverse to really rely on anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Tate had a huge game last week.
So I was going to ask, what do you do with the whole committee that's in the backfield?
I don't think it's a committee anymore. I gotta be honest.
Tate
I
is the number
think-
one guy.
I think Tate's their guy.
It was fun to have the youngins in there
Yeah,
while
I
Tate
mean-
was away, but until he gets injured again, so for, maybe another 2 weeks.
That's my real question: is can he hold up?
But I mean, Tate is the starter.
You're in a
for
spot
sure.
with Ben Tate where if you have Ben Tate on your roster and he has another good game, trade him.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
agree.
really what you're
Yeah,
looking
I
at
agree.
because it's only a matter of time before he gets hurt again. But he does have a lot of talent. Pittsburgh's defense is not great. So if you got him, start him. Get all the value you can out of Ben Tate. If you've got him, play him today.
Honestly, I'd like to jump back. I mean, I think Golden Tate's probably in the same category. If he has another good game, try to get something a little bit more stable for him because Megatron's going to come back healthy eventually.
Yeah, but he's put up numbers with Johnson in the lineup.
He's been putting up mediocre numbers until
I mean,
last
if
week.
you can get
Especially in a non-PPR
if you can
league,
get a
he hasn't done
value,
anything.
if you can get a value that is concurrent with the numbers that Tate's put up, yeah, go ahead.
I mean, he's only got 1 touchdown reception this year, and
That's
that was
true.
last week.
Stafford's only thrown for 6 on the whole season.
Which
That's
is
very
just
true.
crazy.
So-
I don't
Yeah.
understand that at
Yeah.
all.
You know what though? For the past couple of years, that's been one of their downfalls with the Lions. I know we're jumping back a little bit, but specifically Stafford, he'll go for 5,000 yards in most seasons, but he's still usually like under 30 touchdowns, which I know under 30 sounds like, in
Yeah,
today's
but
day and age when
this
people are
guy
going
is
for
just rolling
50
over in his grave.
touchdowns.
Right.
Yeah, but you
Nah.
got guys going for 50 now, like on a regular 50
Nah,
touchdowns.
not on the regular, but
Well-
35 to 40, you're going to have 3 or 4 guys do every year. A good starting quarterback in fantasy needs to have 25
I hate to
touchdowns.
say it, if you're consistently under 30 touchdowns, you're Joe Flacco.
Well, no, that's if you're consistently under 20 touchdowns. You're Jim
Nah,
Flacco.
don't
How many seasons does he have?
don't rag
over
on
20
him that
touchdowns?
hard. What?
How many seasons does he have over
I
20
don't know.
touchdowns?
I
think
don't
two.
look at anything but his
I'm gonna-
You
eyebrows.
have to look up.
I'm
but
gonna look
I think
that
it's
up.
two. I'm gonna guess
I'm
two.
gonna look that up.
He has put up
Give me a moment.
staggeringly
All right.
underwhelming fantasy numbers.
Oh yeah,
Just amazingly.
I'm just saying.
He might have more touchdowns in that playoff run than he did all last year. No, I'm just kidding. But Flacco just befuddles me. And same way with Stafford. These guys are huge talents that just don't put up the numbers that they should. We've spent entirely too much time on that game. Okay. Green Bay, Miami is your next game.
Okay.
I don't know what to say about this game.
Okay.
Okay.
All the receivers for Green Bay start.
Yes.
And obviously Aaron Rodgers. Eddie Lacy is going to run through people. And now Miami's defense.
Miami's got a decent rushing defense, but you're not going to bench Eddie Lacy
No.
anyway, so it's a moot point. On Miami.
These are the tougher calls, yeah, on Miami.
You're going to see a platoon between, well, not a platoon, but a committee between the two running backs because Moreno's back. Mike Wallace is apparently active, but he's been fighting an injury all week.
Mike Wallace has reported that Mike Wallace
Yeah.
might not play
That showed up
because he
on
talks
60
in
Minutes
third
this
person
week.
all the time.
I do need to go back just a moment.
Oh,
of his
stat check.
Of his 6 complete NFL seasons, he's got 4 seasons of over 20 touchdowns.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
But
What's his
only-
high?
25.
Jeez Louise.
I was going to say only one of them is 25. Then he's got a 20, a 21, a 22, and a 20.
Yeah. It's not fun. How many times has he thrown over 4,000 yards?
Never.
Yeah. Okay.
39-12 last year.
Oh, he's almost there.
Close.
Wallace is active. Okay. All right.
Honestly, how many times has Brady gone on over 4,000? It's not many. Believe it or not. It's just the 1 year, the 2 years he did it, he went for 5,000. But he hasn't done it many times.
Look it up.
Yep, look that up.
If Vegas sets the number at 7, I'm going to say over. He's been in the league a long time, and they have, you know.
All right, so back to Miami. Yep, that's
Miami is what Miami is. Hey, Charles Clay's active. If you need a tight end and you're incredibly desperate, you could try Charles Clay, but Tannehill's not a good start.
No.
And I don't like anybody but Wallace in the receiving core. If you're going to play one of the running backs, pray that you have the one that has the better game. But they're
Yep.
both going to get they're both going to get carries.
Yeah, and both the defenses are
The only
are
guy
questionable
fantasy
there.
wise on Green Bay that you have to ask yourself about is Devontae Adams. He's their guy that took Jarrett Boykin's place on their depth chart.
Right.
He's got a touchdown or two. He's somebody that I'd probably keep an eye on, but I don't know that I'd play yet. I don't think Green Bay's going to go out there and score a ton of points against Miami.
That makes me sad.
I think Green Bay wins, but I don't think it's going to be if they get to 28, I'll be surprised because Green Bay, while they have a lot of offensive potential, hasn't really shown it other than the game against Minnesota. They'll put up good fantasy numbers, but it's not going to be one of these like 40-point blowouts. Miami won't let that happen.
You got the stats?
5 times.
5 seasons
5?
over
Okay.
4,000?
All right.
That's it.
Oh.
Okay.
In what, like 13 seasons?
That's
13
12
or
or 13 years.
14 seasons,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, on to the 4 o'clock games, which starts with Chicago at Atlanta.
This is going to be a fun game to watch.
Yeah,
Points.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of points. It's indoors, and it's going to be a track meet.
I'm calling Falcons 13, Bears 7.
That's what's going to happen.
It's
Since
probably
we're hyping it.
This is going to happen. If you have a receiver that plays for either one of these teams, you have to play them.
No question.
I mean, that's not really that huge an
No.
analysis, but even if you have, wow, I'm going to get crazy here. If you have Devin Hester, I don't know why you would, but if you have Devin Hester, or if you're in like a weekly league, or one of these, FanDuel or one of these things, Devin Hester could do some damage. It's the Steve Smith corollary.
Right.
He's going to play in his old team, and he's going to play. Harry Douglas is not supposed to play, which means Hester's their number 3 receiver.
Right.
In a game where they look to score a ton of points.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
why not? Here's my late on the line. Devin Hester will have double-digit fantasy points today.
See, I was going to
In which format?
Either one.
Oh.
Even in a not, because I think they
You
will
think
look
he's
to
gonna
get
have a
him the
TD?
ball a little bit, and okay, he scores a TD. Sure, why not?
I'll say he's going to have to in a
Double-digit
non-PPR league.
points.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. He might have 100 yards.
It's possible.
Who knows?
See, I was actually getting ready to say my late on line this week is going to be that Devin Hester and Martellus Bennett both have terrible games.
Wow. That's head-to-head late on the line games.
Wow.
Go for it.
I like this.
Why not?
We'll have to
It can
revisit
happen.
this.
We'll revisit it next week.
yeah.
One of us is going to look horrible. Martellus Bennett,
I mean,
you don't think he's going to have a good game?
You have to play him.
You have to play him.
You have to, but I just don't see it happening. I
Okay.
really don't. There's too many cooks in the kitchen in that offense. Especially with Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, and Matt Forte all healthy.
So by saying that, you're saying Atlanta's secondary isn't as good as their linebackers, basically. Because somebody's got to cover Martellus Bennett.
Someone has to, but he's still going to be the fourth option. He will check down to Matt Forte before he looks for Martellus Bennett.
Ugh. I don't know that that's the case. I think Forte gets a lot of looks on the ground. And I know he caught a lot of balls the past 2 weeks. But I think if anybody suffers...
Well, no, it's because Jay Cutler the last 3 weeks has been pick happy, and he's going to try to. They're trying to get him back on pace to not throw 30 picks this season.
Well, when you play against Atlanta, that'll get you back on track.
Yeah.
In a
they
heartbeat.
don't guard anybody. I mean, their corners are two young guys that love to make plays, but they don't necessarily cover anybody all that well.
Oh,
We got a question. Will Sanu and Tate have impacts with AJ and Megatron? Well, I mean, we've discussed that, but I think both of them will.
yeah, absolutely.
I like both of them as starts this week.
Yeah, the why would be that they're both playing against defenses that, Sanu,
lackluster.
right? Sanu and Tate can beat. Same thing with their quarterbacks, and they're going to be the number one option. So yeah, they absolutely will have an impact.
I would start both those guys this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the takeaway from Bears and Falcons is play everybody.
Both of their injury, real quick, back to that. Both of the main receivers' injuries with Johnson and Green could be nagging and issue filled for the rest of the season. You got a high ankle sprain and a mysterious toe injury.
Yeah, AJ Green went to
So-
see a specialist, which is never anything you want to hear.
Say, look what happened to Jonathan Ogden. A bad toe ended his
Yeah.
career.
Same thing with Deion Sanders. That's what put him out of the league.
So, if you have one of those two guys that were just mentioned, yeah, I mean, you could be in line to have a decent starter for the rest of the season.
By the way, the fact that Calvin Johnson's not playing is the best thing you could have happen as a Calvin Johnson owner.
Oh yeah,
The worst thing that could happen is the past 2 weeks where he
Right.
goes out there and he kind of wanders around a little bit and he's not really healthy and they don't play. Because if he's on the field, you can't not play him.
Yep.
So the best thing that you can have happen for Calvin Johnson is that he rests a week
is
or
true.
two, and you don't have to worry about putting him in the lineup.
When is their bye week?
That I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, check it out.
I feel like it's 8 or 9, but I could be off.
Yeah, which is always an impact with injuries. If it's 8 or 9, then you might see him sit an extra week because what's the point of bringing him back before the bye? Although with Detroit's track record, they could go lose a couple games and have dire straits and they got to
Right.
play him. But that's all a couple weeks down the road. Next up at 4:00, San Diego at Oakland.
This seems so obvious, and that's the one that usually bites you. You know what I mean? It's like San Diego should shut them out. They'll score negative points somehow.
Detroit's bye week is 9.
Okay,
so
that's
It's not good,
Yeah.
actually, for Johnson.
Yeah. But no, yeah, this is the time where, I mean, obviously I picked up San Diego's defense, but it's too easy. Like, it's one of those things where you're just like, this makes too much sense, and it makes me scared. And that's the thing. The hot topic this week is Brandon Oliver, because he went off last week.
Brandon Oliver went absolutely bonkers.
Like
last
200
week.
plus total yards
Yeah.
and 2 touchdowns,
Yeah.
and now he's playing against. Again, we've been through this before. Oh, Shane Vereen's gonna have the best game of his season this year because it's Oakland. Well, it doesn't necessarily always happen the way you think it's going to. But I mean, I tried to get Oliver and unfortunately couldn't in many of my leagues. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
he
Here
got
comes my
snagged.
personal question of the week. Since we've already talked about Cincinnati, I either can start San Diego's defense against Oakland or Cincinnati against Carolina.
You start
From
San Diego.
from what Cincinnati did with New England, you can't trust them as highly as San Diego against Oakland.
You got to play San Diego.
Oakland's got no weapons. Like,
Well, they don't have no weapons, but
Well-
they don't have anybody you're really that scared of.
no.
James Jones is probably their best receiver. Who's starting a quarterback for Oakland, by the way? Because I don't know. I can't tell. I don't have any
Is
reports
Carr
of anything.
back?
Carr's been injured, but we don't know. They haven't announced anything. So, I mean, I guess that affects it a little bit. But either way, I'm starting San Diego's defense.
And then it's not Schaub, is it? He was
No.
hurt too, right?
No, I mean, Schaub's on the team, but I don't
Derek
think
Carr
he's
is
gonna start.
expected to
He's
play.
expected to
Okay.
play. Okay, it doesn't really change
It
anything.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't. Thank you, The Rock. It really doesn't matter. I don't play anybody on Oakland. I play all your San Diego players. Keenan Allen's the one guy.
Yeah,
that
come on.
everybody's,
Their
you know-
receivers are driving me crazy.
Yeah, they're driving everybody crazy.
Is Malcolm Floyd playing?
Yeah. He is questionable.
I hope he
but
just sits out so Keenan Allen can actually have a game for once. It's
Here's the
really
thing, here's the
making
thing
me
with Keenan
angry.
Allen. You can't bench Keenan Allen.
I know, except you can just keep taking 6 points a week
I know
from
you
him.
want to bench Keenan Allen, but you really can't bench Keenan Allen. Eddie Royal is becoming Eddie Royal again, but I think you probably if you
2
have
weeks
to,
of fury, Eddie Royal.
Yeah, if you have to play Eddie Royal, then you probably have to play Eddie Royal. But I wouldn't rank him better than like the 30th or 40th best receiver.
I tell you what, the only
out
guy
there.
left in our league that's 5-0 is Maurice, and he picked up Eddie Royal, and it's working.
Didn't work last week. It at least didn't help him last
But
week.
again, they're playing a terrible defense. So if
Yeah.
you're trying to pick between whether to play him or not, you're probably going to play him because he could go have a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question on Twitter, by the way.
Do it.
Ooh.
Now, this is a skewed question
Of
because
course.
it's from a friend of mine who's a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Is Le'Veon Bell the best running back in the NFL?
No.
No.
Well, there you go, Scott. That was an easy
No.
answer.
I mean, you're sitting in
is
a
he-
room full of Ravens fans, too.
But the thing
I
is,
mean,
is he one of the best fantasy running backs in the league?
He's,
Sure.
He's up
top,
there.
He's top 5.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think at this point, I hate to say this.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
DeMarco Murray is
Yep.
looking like the best running back in the NFL right now.
Until he gets hurt,
Right, but as
which
of
is any minute now.
that,
But-
the question
but
was,
yeah.
is he the best running back in the NFL right now? And yeah, I mean, he's in the discussion, but I think DeMarco Murray has proven so far that. Now, are we leading into? Is this a good segue right here? Dallas and Seattle.
Well, yeah, Dallas, Seattle's the next game. Are we done talking about the horrible San Diego
Yeah, well, that's
Oakland
good.
game? All right,
That's good.
very good. We're
Yeah.
going on to Dallas, Seattle.
Yeah.
Here's
Yeah.
the problem. If you've got one of the many good offensive players on Dallas, who do you play and who don't you play?
You sit Terrence Williams.
You sit Terrence Williams.
You still start Des Bryant
You start
because
Dez Bryant.
Deshaun Jackson made Seattle's defense look pedestrian.
Well, if there's
He had
one
2 big plays.
if there's one
That's fine.
weakness,
That's-
if there's one weakness on that defense, it's guys that are fast that can get downfield,
So
get in
it's
between
the
the
long
big
ball.
corners and safeties.
And Des Bryant can
And
do
Dez
that.
Bryant can, well, here's the thing: you're never ever benching Dez Bryant.
Right, but I'm saying,
But
right.
Terrence Williams is the guy that I was thinking we need to have a discussion about.
Exactly.
Terrence Williams has 5 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
Is Terrence Williams startable against Seattle? I don't think so.
No, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. I think you're
And-
looking
and
at Pierre Garçon.
I hate to say it, Witten is barely startable too. You're gonna have to start him if you have him, but
Jason Witten's going to have Cam Chancellor in his face all
Yeah.
game. So, yeah, I think if you have a better option, you don't play Jason Witten.
yeah.
Are we taking a temporary timeout here? Okay, timeout for a second.
We need some music during this.
I'm not gonna say.
Like elevator music.
Yeah.
I'm actually not gonna lie. In one of my
All right, and we're back. Very good. Well, hey, thanks for the Twitter question. We appreciate it. Anybody else has any other questions? We got a couple minutes left in the show. We are going back to Dallas and Seattle. I'm not starting Tony Romo in a league where I have Tony Romo.
I have to because I have to.
So,
But-
what are your other options? Let's talk about this because this is a big topic for a lot of
Okay,
people.
I'm in a 2-quarterback league where the second quarterback is a flex spot. So I
Okay,
don't
so
have
it's a
to
super
start.
flex.
I don't have to start 2, but it's a bad bye week for me, and I have AJ Green, so I kind of do.
Okay.
So I have Tony Romo, Kirk Cousins, Blake Bortles. No, I dropped him. He's a bum. And then I picked up Bridgewater. So I could
Okay.
start Bridgewater and Cousins. I've considered it.
Yeah, do that.
You really think so?
Yeah.
Arizona's banged up as well for Cousins. I think
I
Cousins
just-
has a good game.
Cousins had a game against Seattle, and I feel like Romo is better than Cousins. And Dallas's line has been good.
Here's the difference. That's a run-first team.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to admit it.
What happens
but
though
it's a
when they run first
team.
and don't get anywhere? That's the problem.
Well, then you play right into Seattle's hands. I mean, here's the big difference in that game. that Washington game was in Washington. Seattle doesn't travel all that well.
Right.
As good a team as they are, the only times they've had any sort of blank spot or chink in the armor or whatever you want to call it, it's been on the road in games where they should have blown people out. That's their MO. They win those games in squeakers. It happens all the time.
They also complain about menus on charter flights.
Here's who they kill and destroy. Teams with big fan bases coming into their house that is going to be the national spotlight on them against teams that play offense really well. They're going to grind up the Dallas Cowboys. Now, does that mean that Dez Bryant can't have a good game? I think Dez Bryant has a good game. 80 yards and a touchdown is a pretty good game, but that's probably what you're looking at.
4 catches, 5 catches,
Yeah.
80 yards, and a
I
TD is a
mean,
great
There
game.
could be lions and bears on the field, like actual animals, and I think Dez Bryant would still have 100 yards.
No,
and a
you
touchdown.
don't ever bench Dez Bryant. Never do
Right.
bench Dez Bryant. But it's the classic sort of cliche. Dez can have a good game. Romo doesn't have to in the same game.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I benched Romo for Colin Kaepernick. Now,
Ooh.
Kaepernick's a little inconsistent, but he's going up against the Rams on Monday night, and I think he'll be okay. Do I expect huge numbers from Kaepernick? No. But I do like him better than Romo. It's going to be tough for you to swallow it and bench Romo.
I'm
But
doing it right now.
if
I'm
he's
doing it
right
live.
now, folks.
I'm
All right.
benching Romo, and this could hurt.
Well, here's the other question. Is Russell Wilson an automatic start?
Yes. Yes.
I like
yes.
Russell Wilson. I mean, obviously,
Dallas'
you like a guy that
defense is not
runs.
nearly as bad as we
No,
all
I
thought
know.
it was.
I'm not
No,
saying
no,
he's
no,
going to
no.
go absolutely nuts, but
Dallas defense is not as horrible as it was originally thought in the beginning of the season.
'Cause
But,
they actually have
but
one.
Russell Wilson at home is a start.
and
Yes.
he just proved last week that he will run if given the chance.
also
He's
proved-
taken
If
off.
provoked, he will
Thing
run.
is,
yes.
and as a fan, I can say this: he also ran against a really mediocre defense, and
Yeah,
mediocre is being nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think
And I think Dallas' defense
depending
is
on
quite
who
a
you're
bit better
picking
than
from,
Redskins.
because if you have Russell Wilson, he's probably not your starter. I think probably a lot of people took Russell Wilson as a high-end backup for like a questionable starter.
So I've been doing a coin flip all year: Jay Cutler, Russell Wilson.
Oy,
That's what I've been doing all year.
Yeah, that's tough.
that's a
It's
real
tough.
toss-up.
Which is actually, we even talked about it on our draft show because you even said he's like, you're gonna be coin flipping each week.
Yeah,
You know,
you're
and
gonna
you are-
have to.
And like this past week, if I'd have started Russell Wilson, I would have won my game. But I started Jay Cutler instead. Now Cutler had a good game.
So who are you starting this week?
What's up? What's up, Tony?
No, just excuses.
Oh, okay.
Right now, I have Cutler as my starter
That's a tough one, man. Yeah, I
because
think
I think
you.
it's going to be a bigger shootout.
Here's a
against
really
Atlanta.
unscientific way of looking at this. You start Cutler because if you start Wilson, you have to wait for Wilson.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait for Cutler. You're gonna get your results immediately, so you might as well start Cutler. That's the way I look at it. When
It's
I
a
have
quick
true,
burn
When I have a
when I
true
go
coin
there.
flip like that, get the guy in the early game out of the way because you don't want to watch Jay Cutler throw for 400 yards against Atlanta and then wait for Russell Wilson to have to do something.
Right.
Just
That in this way, if Cutler stinks, Dix
Yeah.
is still open. And
When-
I can
when
go
it-
get
when
some
it boils
40 cal
down to
ammo
it-
and blow my
when it
brains out.
boils down to it, it's a fun game. Have fun. Enjoy yourself.
Here's another quick one. The same league, those two quarterbacks I'm
Right.
talking about.
Okay.
In the true flex, that's just wide receiver, running back.
Okay.
My two starting receivers are Keenan Allen, Kelvin Benjamin.
Okay.
And then right now I do have Vereen slotted in there because I still want to believe. But I have Cooks on bye and AJ Green's out. So I can either start Crabtree or Patterson. This league I traded for Patterson in the flex. Yeah. This league does have bonuses for going over 100, 150, or 200 yards
Is
total.
your team called underachieving wide receivers?
Yes.
Like, is that the name of your team right now?
It is.
Because between Keenan Allen and the other guys, that's exactly what you have. If you're going to pick between Patterson and Crabtree
And Vereen.
and Vereen,
My starting running backs are Bernard and Andre Williams. So that's to give you an idea why Vereen's not.
you know, let's start Vereen. Because here's the thing. Crabtree's done nothing all
Yeah,
year.
and he
I mean,
keeps
and
going to the
he's
sideline
killing me.
and rolling the
He keeps
arch of
rolling
his foot on a
his
ball.
softball and all the rest
Yeah.
of this stuff. You don't want to deal with that on Monday night. Just play Vereen. You know,
If nothing else, I'll let Patterson blow up and then trade him since I just got him in a
I
trade.
just, man, in a PPR league, and I have Patterson in a PPR league, I can't see taking a chance with Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
I just can't.
All right, move on.
Wow, these are all tough questions this
Yes.
week, but that's what we're here for, though. At 4 o'clock, the last 4 o'clock game is Redskins at Cardinals.
Does anyone know who's starting at quarterback for the
Carson
Cardinals?
Palmer's supposed to start at quarterback.
Palmer's
for the
back.
Cardinals.
So that might give Fitz a little bit of a boost because people are just dying on
It's
if they
going to help
drafted
Michael
Fitz.
Floyd more than anybody.
Yeah.
So-
The deep ball.
Yeah, I think Michael Floyd's a start if you've got Palmer on the field. Andre Ellington is a good play.
Like Kirk said, unfortunately, most times when you come in and play the Redskins, if you have anybody that's talented athletically, you play them.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty soft.
We were talking about Kirk Cousins earlier. I think Cousins is a decent start against Arizona. I don't think Morris has such a great game this week, but you're going to start him anyway because you kind of have to.
You do. As far as this is the other hot topic, anyone who's got Garcon, what do you do with him at this point?
You got to play him. I hate to say it, but Patrick Peterson's out there, but he's going to be probably on Deshaun Jackson. Now, I have no sort of, I have no evidence of that. He may be on Garcon, who knows.
Right.
But if I was the Cardinals, I'd try and keep
After last
Deshaun
week,
Jackson in check.
But for some reason, Kirk Cousins and Jay Gruden are not looking Garcon's way. He's getting the last couple weeks, besides the one big game he had in Philly, he's getting 2 to 4 targets a game. He's not even getting looked at.
But they're going to have to throw.
They're going
because the Cardinals defend the run very well.
They do. But still, even though Deshaun Jackson's getting double covered, he's still getting open. He's still finding the seam and getting yardage and getting catches.
Arizona gives up 77 yards rushing a game, and they're playing at home. They're going to have to throw it. I would start Garcon, but I am with you. I wouldn't feel great about it, but
the other big question, if you are one of the poor bastards that has to start one of Washington's tight ends, is it Jordan Reed or does Niles Paul still get the looks? Honestly, if you can stay away from it, stay away from that situation altogether.
It's a 4 o'clock game. You're not going to know who's healthy.
Yeah.
From what I heard, Jordan Reed says he's going to play, but I don't trust Jordan Reed. Well, no, did Reed play?
Yeah, he had 1 catch.
I thought
Pretty sure I heard him in there.
Because I know Paul had one catch.
He had 1 target.
Or whatever.
I was
anyway.
pretty sure that Jordan Reed
he at least put the suit on. He put his helmet and his pads on and was out there.
You can't do anything with these guys. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a fun gripe for me. I went into a non-PPR league needing 6 points out of Niles Paul to win a game, and it did not happen for me because I had no other tight end to go to, and I didn't have any other options. So that was fun. Anything else to say about Redskins Cardinals?
No, I think it'll be a good game though.
You can play Forbath.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's true. There could be a lot of field goal.
And the Cardinals kicker, the festively named Catanzaro.
Yeah.
Who's been good this year.
Yeah, he has.
I actually, speaking of kickers, I picked up the newbie, McManus, for Denver.
There you go.
I think he's going to have a good game.
Yeah.
Sunday night, Giants, Eagles, incompetence. Many fantasy players to play. Do we like Eli?
I do. I have actually benched. I benched. My brain's mush. I benched people for Eli.
Okay. You benched humans. All right. Okay.
Orioles have really scrambled my brain. Seriously, like I'm just devastated.
This guy's sleep deprived. He went to the game on Friday night. He's in bad shape.
It's bad. But no, Eli. I do like Eli, and that's a popular pick across the fantasy community right now. It's not like a shocker pick, but yeah. I mean, Ruben Randall has woken up.
Let me give you an idea of what Eli Manning's done this year.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's been total flat garbage for the past 2 years. More picks than touchdowns.
Yep.
1174 yardage, 11 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Yeah, he's.
What in the is going on with Eli Manning? Is it the new offensive coordinator? Is it? I don't know what. I have no explanation for this.
Yeah.
His O-line's playing better.
Okay, that's
He's
a good
not
explanation.
getting banged up nearly
That definitely
as much.
that could help.
Sure.
Let's face it, he's a pocket passer. He's like his brother. He's not going to throw
He
that
ain't
well
going
on the
anywhere.
run.
Right, yeah.
He throws much worse on the run than his brother does. And that's where he gets pick happy. He hasn't been flushed that much this year.
All right.
He hasn't been throwing off his back foot. He's been stepping up and driving into throws, and he's actually been fairly accurate with a strong throw.
Yeah, the thing that I keep hearing about this game is everyone's a volume play. Like, we all know that the Eagles run a lot of plays. The Giants are going to run a lot of plays. Yeah. Neither defense is that great. They're opportunistic defenses. They put up touchdowns. Like, if you had either of those defenses over the past couple weeks, they get fluke plays and run backs. But I'm saying, you start your guys you're going to start. I would think McCoy finally has the game that we expect him to have.
We've been talking about players we've been pulling our hair out over, and I think McCoy's probably the biggest one.
He's at the top of the list.
Yeah.
He was a number 1, 2, or 3 draft pick in probably every single league.
Yeah, in any league that's worth anything, that people know what they're doing.
Unless you're number 2 overall and draft Joe Flacco.
Got him.
All right, so we're coming up against the end of the show here. So we're saying start everybody on both teams.
Yeah, I mean it should be fireworks, which means again it'll be 9-6.
It'll be 9-6.
What about Zach Ertz?
What about him? I hate him right now.
But is he a tight end play?
Yeah, of course. It's a bad tight end week also, but yeah, you still ride with him because he is pretty talented. And
The one guy you want to talk about in this game is Andre Williams. You talked about him last
Yeah.
week. You were on top of that. Andre Williams is the top 12 running back this week.
Yep.
Because the Eagles love to give up points.
Mhm.
So if you have Andre Williams, you're
And
lucky
Peyton
enough to
Hillis
get
is
him.
no threat
No.
to any carries.
You're lucky enough to get Andre Williams, ride that horse until Jennings comes back.
Yep.
Last game of the week, Niners, Rams. I don't like anybody on the Rams. I know Brian Quick is sexy.
Austin Davis has.
This is where Austin Davis comes back there.
I'm sure he does,
Yes.
and I'm sure, and it's on prime time. I'm just saying, like, he's been surprisingly, passable.
He's been great up until now.
Right.
They haven't played anybody, so he's been fantastic.
At some point, Kenny Britt will actually have a consistent stretch of games and will be rosterable, but I don't think it's quite there yet. No, I mean, he's other than Brian Quick. I mean, they have to throw to someone else, and they have been throwing to Britt. He's had like 50, 60 yards. Like, he's building momentum from being a total turd pile that has, no reason being on this earth to actually being on a football team and playing for a team.
As far as the Niners go, I'm starting Kaepernick. I feel pretty decent about him. I think he's a better than average play. I don't think he's going to be top 5 for the week or anything.
Well, because the Rams' defensive MO is bring pressure typically,
Right.
and he can run
and
away
he
from
can
it.
handle pressure.
So,
He's actually better under pressure than he
what
is
about what's up with Vernon
standing
Davis
around.
and all of his injuries?
We don't know. You can't play
Because
Vernon
it's
Davis.
Monday night,
It's
so
Monday night.
right.
What are you going to get
You
stuck
can't
with
wait.
St. Louis's tight
Osteoporosis
end?
is a bitch.
What are you going to get stuck with Jared Cook when Vernon Davis doesn't play? Don't play Vernon Davis. You don't have a choice. The guy's too banged up. And of course, that means he'll be healthy and he'll score 3 touchdowns, but you can't risk that. Anybody else on the Niners that anybody feels interested in? I mean, Gore's obviously going to play. He's a start.
We already touched on Crabtree with
I
my
like
awkward
Crabtree.
situation.
I'd rather play
Yeah.
Bolden than Crabtree.
Yeah. It's prime time. They're going to need security basically to just get down the field and then let one of the bowling balls run it in,
Yep.
Hyde, I can't wait for Hyde to actually be a starter.
I don't think anybody can wait for that. Everybody loves that guy.
Other quick side note, at some point, we're unfortunately doing fantasy NBA, like in our personal lives.
That's
I mean, who knows? We may do a quick show on that at one point, but in regards to that, Durant fractured his foot.
Yep, Kevin
So
Durant's
he's out
6
to 8 weeks for anyone that's actually about to do a draft for fantasy basketball, because it is coming up very quickly. So yeah, that's pretty big news though. That's, as far as NBA is concerned, that's real big. So
All right, well, we're up against the end of the show, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for
the
Thanks
questions.
for the questions.
Keep 'em
we really
coming.
appreciate it. And we'll see you next week at 11:30 on the Fantasy Football Dojo. I'm Mark.
I'm Mike.
I'm Kirk.
Peace.
Good luck.